Dear students, let us start with a new topic, that is the phylum Chordata. Chordata, this is the unit 4th, the first subunit of unit 4th. Let us understand first of all what is the Chordata. Chordata is the last phylum of animal kingdom. We studied rather the classification of the animal kingdom during the five kingdom classification, and we started the classifying animal kingdom from the phylum Protozoa, and the last phylum was the phylum Chordata. Chordata is a term coined by Balfour in 1880. Chordata is derived from two Greek words. It's a combination of two Greek words, the chordi and eta. Chordi means string or cord, eta means bearing. So these are the organisms which bear a cord or string. So that is why they are called as chordata. This cord, which is called notochord, is basically a stiff supporting rod-like structure along the back, and is called as notochord. Uh, Greek word noton, notochord. If you look at the word notochord, noton means back, chorda means cord. So because the cord is lying on the back, so it is also called notochord. This notochord is basically a cartilaginous skeletal rod. Cartilaginous skeletal rod, you must remember that the difference between cartilage and bone is that bone is little bit stiff, whereas cartilage is not so stiff. It is not so hard. It is a little flexible structure. So anyhow, whether it is cartilage or bone, they are the part of the skeletal system. So this is the cartilaginous skeletal system. So its main function is to support the body. It is present in all the embryonic form of the phylum Chordata. All the animals during their embryonic form, they have the notochord, whereas in the adults, the notochord is not present in all the animals. Later on, it is replaced by the vertebral column also. So phylum Chordata is the largest deuterostome phyla. So deuterostome phyla was deuterostome structure or the nature was started from phylum Echinodermata, and onwards the phylum Chordata is also a deuterostome. That means the mouth develops away from the blastopore. The pore of the blastula will not develop into mouth. The other term is proterostome, where the mouth developed from the blastopore. These are the examples of the phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata includes tunicates, uh, that is subphylum Urochordata also called, and the example is Herdmania. This is Herdmania. It includes lancelets, lancelet, that is subphylum Cephalochordata, or the organism. The example is Branchiostoma, or also called Amphiarchus. Then it has the class Cyclostomata. Class Cyclostomata means the organisms bearing round mouth. So lamprey is the example. Then it includes the class Pisces or the superclass Pisces, which includes fishes. Then it includes the amphibians like frog. It includes the reptiles like lizards. It includes the aves like the bird I have shown over here. It includes the animals bearing the hair called the mammals. We too belong to the class Mammalia. So these are the examples of phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata has about 49,000 species on record, and among 49,000 species, 25,000 species are of fishes. So fishes is a largest group of phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata includes largest living animals on Earth, or and the animal largest living animal is basically the mammal, which is called as gigantic blue whale. Belenoptera musculus. It grows up to 35 meters long and 120 tons in weight. This is the it is a it lives in the marine. So this blue whale is a mammal. This is not a fish, and it is the largest animal on Earth. Then it also includes smallest chordate. Smallest chordate is again a fish called the Leptophilippinion pusillus. This is also they are commonly called smallest sleeper gobies. So it is less than 9 point, or you can say less than uh, 10 mm. It is having a size of 9.1 mm, that is 0.36 inches. This is shown over here. So you can imagine that how small it is. Ecologically, chordates are among the most successful animals. Among the chordates, birds and mammals have been able to penetrate cold climate as well. So that's why they are called successful, because they are living in the cold climate also. Cold climate means they are like Antarctica. Then chordates can be pictured as upside down invertebrates. Why they are so called? Because if you look at the position of nervous system and the circulatory system, the nervous system in case of chordate is lying on the dorsal side, whereas in case of the non-chordates it is lying on the ventral side. And circulatory system, it is lying on the dorsal side in case of the chordates, whereas the ventral side in case of the chordates, whereas it lies on dorsal side in case of the non-chordates. So they are upside down of the uh, invertebrates or non-chordates, you can say. Now, how you can recognize the chordates? There are three fundamental chordate characters that you must remember. That all those animals which are grouped under phylum Chordata, they have three fundamental characters. Number one, the dorsal hollow nerve cord. Number two, the notochord. Number three, the pharyngeal gill slits. This dorsal hollow nerve cord is the central nervous system of the chordate. So it's present on the dorsal side of the body and it runs longitudinally along the dorsal side. It is hollow from inside, so it is called as dorsal hollow nerve cord. So because of its hollowness, you can call it looks like a tube, so it's a tubular nature. It is in tubular nature, so also called tubular nerve cord. So it lies just above the notochord. And this was the position I was talking in the previous slide, that this nervous system is present on the dorsal side in case of the chordates, whereas it is present on the ventral side in case of the non-chordates. Uh, like the non-chordates, it don't have any ganglionic mass along its length. Okay, and the nerve cords serve for, or because it is the function of nervous system, that is integration and coordination of the body activities are always regulated by the nervous system, so it's a part of nervous system. Dorsal hollow nerve cord, this is the first fundamental character. Then come to the second fundamental character. The second fundamental character of the chordate is the notochord, that is this, also called as chorda dorsalis. The notochord is an elongated rod-like, you can see it is elongated rod-like flexible structure. Flexible because it is not a bony structure, it is cartilaginous structure. It also extends along the length of the body immediately beneath the dorsal hollow nerve cord. So its function is, because it's a part of skeletal system, so its function is support. In adult vertebrates, the groups which will be included under vertebrates, in the adult of the vertebrates, the notochord will be replaced by the vertebral column. Whereas in the invertebrates, those invertebrates which are chordates, like I have already given you the example of the urochordates, cephalochordates, in their body, whole of the for whole of their life cycle, they have the notochord on their body. They don't replace it with the vertebral column. whereas the fishes, the amphibians, reptiles, birds have notochord during the embryonic stage, which is replaced later on by the vertebral column, the hard bony structure, as we are having in our backbone. Then the third feature is the pharyngeal gill slits. So, pharyngeal gill slits, they are so called because they are the slits. Slits are also called as the openings. They are present on the wall of the pharynx. This is the digestive system, the mouth, and the pharynx. Then the posterior digestive system. Uh, they are they are the slit-like opening present on the lateral wall of the pharynx. So they are called the pharyngeal gill slits. Uh, in all the chordates, this is also a third fundamental characteristic feature. Again, you must have a question in your mind, as we are also chordate. Why we are not having these pharyngeal gill slits? So, dear students, basically, again, like that of the notochord, as the notochord was replaced by the vertebral column in the vertebrates, so accordingly, we do have the pharyngeal gill slits during our embryonic life, but later on, the pharyngeal gill slits are perished, because the pharyngeal gill slits are the basically very much helpful for aquatic life, because mouth is water is taken in from the mouth, and then it goes out from these slits. It does not enter into rest of the digestive system. So by doing this, they respire in the water. But since we are the terrestrial animals, from the amphibian and reptile onwards, we are terrestrial. So in our case, only in the embryonic stage, we are having the pharyngeal gill slits. Later on, they are perished over there. The pharyngeal gill slits are also called as uh, bronchial gill slits. They are also called as visceral clefts, or they are also called as pouches. Uh, in protochordates and lower aquatic vertebrates. Protochordates means the urochordate, the cephalochordate, because the hemichordate is not the chordate now, it is non-chordate, and the lower aquatic vertebrates. Lower aquatic vertebrates means fishes. The gill slits are functional throughout life, but in higher vertebrates, they disappear or becomes modified in adult with acquisition of pulmonary respiration. Because now we respire by the lungs, we don't need this pharyngeal gill slits which are required in the aquatic system. We are terrestrial, so here they are replaced. Now, just have a comparison of the chordates and non-chordates. Let us see what are the differences. In terms of symmetry, all chordates are bilateral, and in non-chordates, we have seen some don't have any symmetry, some have radial symmetry, some have biradial, some have bilateral. In terms of segmentation of the body, all chordates are truly segmented. Like in our case, we do have the segments. Our segments are represented by the ribs and the vertebrae of our vertebral column. But in the non-chordates, they either have true or pseudo, that is false, that we have seen in the plateal means, or they may not have any type of segmentation. Post-anal tail present beyond the anal opening. It is usually present in the chordates. Usually, it means it is not always present in all the animals, but in usually present. But here in non-chordate, tail feature is lacking. Grade of organization, all the chordates have the organ system level of organization, whereas the non-chordates have protoplasmic, like in case of protozoan, and then slowly and steadily they also have achieved organ system level of organization from annelids onwards, plateal means rather you can say. Then uh, germ layers, uh, all the chordates have the three germ layers, so they are called triploblastic, whereas the non-chordates have three, either triploblastic or they have two layers called the diploblastic, or they may not have any layer. Like you have the porphyrins, you have the coelentrates, the porphyrins, they don't have any type of layer. Phylum, the body cavity, it is true cavity in case of the chordates, whereas in case of the non-chordates, it may be true, it may be pseudo, or it may be lacking. So, so true cavity and the pseudo cavity, you must remember that uh, The true cavity is the cavity which is lined by the mesoderm on all the sides. When it is not lined by the mesoderm on all the sides, it is called pseudometamerism. Oh, sorry, pseudocoelom. Limb derivations. All the limbs they are derived in chordates from several segments, whereas in case of non-chordates, one segment is giving rise to one limb. As far as the notochord is concerned, it is present in chordates and it is absent in non-chordates. Gut position, the position of the intestine, you can say, or the digestive system, it is ventral to nerve cord in case of the chordates, whereas in non-chordates, it is dorsal to the nerve cord because in the non-chordates, the nerve cord is present on the ventral side. Pharyngeal gill slits, it is present in the chordates but absent in the non-chordates. Blood vascular system is closed in case of the chordates, and in non-chordates, it may be closed, it may be open, or sometimes it don't have the blood vascular system. The dorsal blood vessels, there is a difference in the dorsal blood vessels, that when the dorsal blood vessel is present in the chordates, the blood flows always posteriorly. So all the chordates have dorsal blood vessel. But in the non-chordates, when it is present, the blood flows anteriorly from posterior to anterior direction. Then the hepatic portal system. This is the hepatic portal system. What is the hepatic portal system? That the blood from whole of the digestive system takes the absorbed food and directly give it to the liver, and from liver then the liver will determine the concentration, the requirement of the body, that which material is to be supplied to the body and which must not be supplied to the body and must be stored in the body. So the system, the blood system, the circulatory system, which supplies the absorbed material from the intestine directly to the liver, is called hepatic portal system. It is present only in case of chordate, but not present in case of non-chordate. Hepatic portal system is very important system. So here the liver is basically a controlling agency which is giving this absorbed material to the body only when it is required, otherwise it will stop. Hemoglobin, that is the pigment of the blood, it is present in RBCs in case of chordates, and it is present in plasma, and it may not be present in some of the cases in case of non-chordates. Nervous system, again we have discussed, it is hollow nerve cord in case of the chordates, whereas it is solid and ventral in case of the non-chordates. Nerve cord, it is single in case of the chordates, present on the dorsal side of the body, and it don't have any ganglionic mass on its length, whereas it is double and ventral and usually bearing ganglia in case of the non-chordates. Reproduction, it is though the chordates is also having the non asexual mode of reproduction, but sexual reproduction is predominant, whereas in the non-chordates, asexual reproduction is predominant. Regeneration of power is again very poor in case of the chordates, whereas it is usually good in case of the non-chordates. As far as the body temperature is concerned, chordates are cold-blooded also, warm-blooded also. So all the protochordates and the fishes and the amphibians and the reptiles, they are cold-blooded, whereas birds and mammals are the warm-blooded. In case of the non-chordates, whole of the organisms are cold-blooded. Thanks. This is all about the introduction of the phylum Chordata.